Imagine a world where the line between the living and the divine was blurred by smoke, chants, and the pulsing rhythm of drums. Picture this: deep in the jungles of ancient Mesoamerica, Mayan priests inhaled hallucinogenic fumes, believing it would transport them to the realm of the gods. These rituals weren't just ceremonies, they were the heartbeat of entire civilizations, shaping their beliefs, their politics, and even their survival. But what drove these ancient cultures to perform such elaborate and often shocking rituals, and how do these practices still echo in our modern world today? In this video, we're diving into the hidden rituals of ancient cultures, rituals so unbelievable, they'll challenge everything you thought you knew about history. From the blood-soaked altars of the Aztecs to the mystical trances of the Oracle of Delphi, we'll uncover the secrets behind these practices and explore how they shaped the societies that performed them. You'll discover how these rituals weren't just about appeasing gods or seeking divine favor. They were about power, identity, and the very fabric of human existence. So, if you're ready to step into the shadows of history and uncover the mysteries that have fascinated scholars for centuries, keep watching. By the end of this journey, you'll not only understand the why behind these rituals, you'll see how they continue to influence us in ways you'd never expect. Let's begin. Now turning to the heart of ancient Mesoamerica, we find ourselves standing before the towering Great Temple of Tenochtitlan, the spiritual epicenter of the Aztec Empire. This massive pyramid, rising high above the bustling city, was not just a place of worship, it was a stage for some of the most dramatic and blood-soaked rituals in human history. Here atop the temple, Aztec priests performed human sacrifices, offering the beating hearts of captives to their gods. The air would have been thick with the scent of incense, the cries of the victims, and the rhythmic chants of the priests, all under the watchful eyes of thousands of spectators. For the Aztecs, these sacrifices were far more than acts of violence. They were essential to maintaining the cosmic balance. They believed that the gods required human blood and hearts to sustain the universe, ensuring the sun would rise each day and the crops would grow. Without these offerings, they feared the world would descend into chaos. Historians estimate that thousands of sacrifices took place each year, particularly during major festivals or times of crisis. The scale of these rituals was staggering, with some accounts describing rows of victims stretching across the temple steps. But what drove the Aztecs to such extremes? Beyond the religious explanations, these sacrifices served as a powerful tool for social and political control. By demonstrating their ability to communicate with the gods and ensure the survival of their people, the ruling elite solidified their authority. The spectacle of sacrifice also instilled fear and obedience among the populace, reinforcing the hierarchy of Aztec society. For the warriors who captured the victims, it was a path to honor and prestige, further binding them to the empire's power structure. The psychological impact of these rituals cannot be overstated. For the Aztecs, witnessing or participating in sacrifices was a deeply spiritual experience, a reminder of their place in the cosmos and their dependence on the gods. Yet, for the victims and their communities, it was a source of terror and trauma, a stark reminder of the empire's dominance. As we leave the shadow of the Great Temple, we're reminded that the Aztecs were not alone in their use of rituals to connect with the divine. Across the world, other cultures developed their own ways of bridging the gap between the mortal and the spiritual. Next, we'll journey to ancient Greece, where the Oracle of Delphi delivered prophecies that shaped the fate of empires. Now turning to the mist-shrouded slopes of Mount Parnassus in ancient Greece, we find ourselves at the sacred site of Delphi, home to the most famous oracle in history. The Oracle of Delphi was no ordinary priestess. She was the voice of Apollo, the god of prophecy, and her cryptic pronouncements shaped the fate of kings, cities, and empires. The atmosphere at Delphi was otherworldly, with the temple perched high above the valley, surrounded by olive groves and the faint scent of laurel leaves in the air. At the heart of the temple lay the Aditon, a hidden chamber where the oracle, known as the Pythia, would sit atop a golden tripod, inhaling vapors rising from a fissure in the earth. These fumes, believed to be volcanic gases, would send her into a trance-like state, allowing her to channel the divine and deliver prophecies that were often enigmatic and open to interpretation. The role of the Oracle of Delphi extended far beyond the spiritual. It was deeply intertwined with Greek politics and decision-making. Leaders from across the Greek world would journey to Delphi, bearing lavish gifts and seeking guidance on matters of war, colonization, and governance. One of the most famous prophecies was given to King Croesus of Lydia, who asked whether he should wage war against the Persian Empire. The oracle replied, "If you cross the river Halys, you will destroy a great empire." Confident in his strength, Croesus attacked, only to realize too late that the empire destined to fall was his own. This story highlights the oracle's dual nature. Her words were revered as divine truth, yet their ambiguity required careful interpretation, often by the priests of Apollo who served as intermediaries. Modern historians and scientists have long debated the science behind the Pythia's trance-like states. Some suggest that the vapors she inhaled contained ethylene, a gas known to induce euphoria and altered states of consciousness. Ancient texts describe her as trembling, foaming at the mouth, and speaking in a voice that seemed otherworldly. Plutarch, a priest at Delphi, wrote that the Pythia's prophecies were not her own but the gods', emphasizing the belief that she was a vessel for divine communication. This blend of science and spirituality made the oracle a powerful symbol of the connection between the mortal and the divine. The influence of the Oracle of Delphi extended into Greek philosophy and culture, shaping ideas about fate, free will, and the limits of human knowledge. Philosophers like Socrates and Plato often referenced the oracle's wisdom, using it as a starting point for deeper inquiries into truth and morality. The famous maxim, "Know thyself," inscribed at the temple, became a cornerstone of Greek thought, urging individuals to seek self-awareness and humility in the face of the divine. As we leave the sacred grounds of Delphi, we're reminded that rituals like these served as bridges between the mortal and spiritual worlds, offering glimpses into the mysteries of existence. Next, we'll explore another culture that sought to connect with the divine through elaborate ceremonies, the ancient Egyptians and their intricate mummification process. Now turning to the banks of the Nile, we step into the world of ancient Egypt, where death was not an end but a gateway to eternity. The mummification process, one of the most elaborate and meticulous rituals of the ancient world, was a testament to the Egyptians' profound belief in the afterlife. For them, preserving the body was essential. It was the vessel that would carry the soul, or ka, into the next world. Without a preserved body, the soul risked being lost forever, unable to reunite with its physical form in the afterlife. The process of mummification was both a science and an art, requiring skilled embalmers who followed a precise set of rituals. It began with the removal of the brain, a task achieved by inserting a long, hooked instrument through the nostrils and carefully extracting the organ piece by piece. The brain, considered less important than the heart, was often discarded, while the heart, believed to be the seat of thought and emotion, was left intact within the body. Next, the internal organs were removed through an incision on the left side of the abdomen. These organs, the liver, lungs, stomach, and intestines, were preserved separately in canopic jars, each protected by one of the 4 sons of Horus. The body was then dehydrated using natron, a natural salt found in the desert. This substance drew out moisture and prevented decay, leaving the body dry and leathery. After 40 days, the natron was removed, and the body was washed with oils and resins to restore its suppleness. The embalmers would then stuff the body with linen, sawdust, or even mud to maintain its shape, a practice that sometimes included patting the cheeks and lips for a lifelike appearance. The wrapping of the body was perhaps the most symbolic part of the process. Layers of linen bandages, often hundreds of yards long, were carefully wound around the body, with amulets and charms placed between the layers to protect the deceased in the afterlife. Each step of the wrapping was accompanied by prayers and incantations, invoking the gods to guide the souls safely to the afterlife. The final touch was the application of a mask, often made of gold or painted linen, which served as a likeness of the deceased and a representation of their divine transformation. The tools and techniques used by the embalmers were remarkably advanced for their time. Bronze hooks, knives, and needles were employed with precision, while resins and oils were used not only for preservation but also to mask the scent of decay. The entire process, which could take up to 70 days, was a labor of love and devotion, reflecting the Egyptians' deep reverence for the dead and their unshakable belief in immortality. This obsession with eternal life was not just about preserving the body, it was about ensuring the soul's survival in the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that the afterlife was a mirror of the earthly world, where the deceased would continue to live, work, and enjoy the pleasures of life. Mummification was their way of bridging the gap between this world and the next, a ritual that embodied their hopes, fears, and dreams of eternity. As we leave the embalming tables of ancient Egypt, we turn our gaze to another culture that sought to conquer death through rituals of rebirth and renewal, the Eleusinian Mysteries of ancient Greece. Now turning to the sun-drenched hills of ancient Greece, we uncover the enigmatic Eleusinian Mysteries, one of the most secretive and revered rituals of the ancient world. Dedicated to the goddess Demeter and her daughter Persephone, these mysteries were celebrated for over 2,000 years, drawing initiates from all corners of the Greek world. Unlike the public festivals of the time, the Eleusinian Mysteries were shrouded in secrecy, with participants sworn to silence under penalty of death. This secrecy has left historians with tantalizing fragments of information, piecing together a ritual that promised profound spiritual transformation. The journey to Eleusis, a small town near Athens, marked the beginning of the initiation process. Initiates, known as mysti, would first undergo a period of fasting and purification, symbolizing the shedding of their old selves in preparation for rebirth. They would then participate in a sacred procession carrying symbols of Demeter and Persephone while chanting hymns and prayers. The climax of the ritual was the consumption of a sacred drink called kykeon, a concoction believed to induce visions and connect the initiates with the divine. The symbolic meaning of the Eleusinian Mysteries revolved around the myth of Demeter and Persephone, a story of loss, grief, and renewal. According to the myth, Persephone was abducted by Hades, the god of the underworld, plunging her mother Demeter into despair. In her grief, Demeter caused the earth to wither and die until Persephone was allowed to return to the surface for part of the year. This cycle of descent and return mirrored the changing seasons and became a powerful metaphor for death and rebirth. For the initiates, the mysteries offered a glimpse into the eternal cycle of life, promising not only spiritual enlightenment but also the hope of a blessed afterlife. The exact ingredients of the sacred kykeon remain a subject of debate among scholars. Some theories suggest it contained barley, water, and mint, while others propose it may have included ergot, a fungus with hallucinogenic properties. This has led to speculation that the visions experienced by initiates were not merely symbolic but chemically induced, offering a direct encounter with the divine. Whether through spiritual or pharmacological means, the Eleusinian Mysteries left a lasting impression on those who participated, shaping Greek philosophy and culture for centuries. As we leave the sacred halls of Eleusis, we turn our attention to another culture that sought to transcend the boundaries of the ordinary, through mind-altering rituals, the vision quests of Native American tribes. Now turning to the vast plains and rugged landscapes of North America, we explore the profound tradition of the vision quest among Native American tribes. This sacred rite of passage was a deeply personal and transformative experience, often undertaken by young individuals seeking spiritual guidance, purpose, and a deeper connection to the natural world. The vision quest was not merely a test of physical endurance but a journey of the soul, designed to reveal one's place within the intricate web of life. The process of a vision quest typically began with a period of preparation, guided by elders or spiritual leaders. The seeker would purify themselves through rituals such as sweat lodge ceremonies, which involved intense heat and steam to cleanse the body and mind. Once prepared, the individual would venture into the wilderness alone, often to a remote and spiritually significant location. There, they would fast, abstaining from food and water for several days while praying and meditating in solitude. This isolation was meant to strip away distractions, allowing the seeker to confront their innermost thoughts and emotions. During this time of vulnerability, the seeker hoped to receive a vision, a powerful and often symbolic message from the spirit world. These visions could take many forms, from encounters with animal spirits to vivid dreams or sudden insights. Each vision was unique, offering guidance tailored to the individual's life path. For example, a vision of an eagle might symbolize strength and clarity, while a bear could represent healing and introspection. The interpretation of these visions was a sacred task, often shared with elders who helped the seeker understand their meaning and apply it to their life. The cultural significance of the vision quest cannot be overstated. It was a rite of passage that marked the transition from adolescence to adulthood, instilling a sense of responsibility and purpose. Those who completed a vision quest were often seen as leaders within their communities, having gained wisdom and spiritual insight. The quest also reinforced the tribe's connection to the natural world, emphasizing the belief that all living beings are interconnected and that humans must live in harmony with the environment. One notable example of a vision quest comes from the Lakota Sioux tradition, where the legendary leader Crazy Horse is said to have undertaken a quest that shaped his destiny. During his isolation, he received a vision of a horse that would not shy away from danger, symbolizing courage and resilience. This vision guided him throughout his life, inspiring his leadership during times of conflict and hardship. The vision quest also highlights the deep reverence Native American tribes held for the natural world. The wilderness was not seen as a place of danger, but as a sacred space filled with spiritual energy. Every rock, tree, and stream was believed to hold wisdom, and the act of seeking a vision was a way of communing with these forces. This profound respect for nature stands in stark contrast to modern attitudes, offering a powerful reminder of the importance of living in balance with the earth. As we reflect on the vision quest, we see how rituals like these served as bridges between the human and natural worlds, fostering a sense of unity and purpose. This connection to the environment will continue to resonate as we explore another culture's unique relationship with the natural world in the next section. Now turning to the vibrant traditions of Hinduism, we encounter the awe-inspiring ritual of fire walking, a practice that has captivated both devotees and observers for centuries. Picture this, a sea of devotees, their faces filled with determination and devotion, walking barefoot across a bed of glowing hot coals. This dramatic scene unfolds during the Hindu festival of Thamithi, celebrated primarily in South India and among Tamil communities worldwide. The ritual is not merely a test of physical endurance, but a profound expression of faith, courage, and spiritual devotion. The origins of firewalking can be traced back to ancient Hindu mythology, particularly the story of Draupadi, the wife of the Pandavas in the epic Mahabharata. According to legend, Draupadi walked through fire to prove her purity and devotion, emerging unscathed. This act of faith has since been immortalized in the Thamithi festival, where devotees reenact her journey as a testament to their own spiritual commitment. For many, the ritual is a way to seek blessings, fulfill vows, or express gratitude to the divine. The preparation for fire walking is as rigorous as the act itself. Devotees undergo weeks of physical and spiritual preparation, including fasting, prayer, and meditation. They purify their bodies and minds, often abstaining from meat, alcohol, and other indulgences. On the day of the ritual, they gather at the temple where a pit of burning coals is prepared. The atmosphere is charged with energy as chants and drumbeats fill the air, creating a sense of collective focus and determination. Before stepping onto the coals, devotees often dip their feet in turmeric water, believed to offer protection and enhance their spiritual readiness. The act of walking on fire is both a physical and psychological challenge. Practitioners describe a state of heightened awareness and concentration, where the mind transcends fear and pain. Many attribute their ability to complete the ritual to their unwavering faith and the divine grace they believe shields them from harm. Yet, there is also a scientific explanation for this phenomenon. The Leidenfrost effect, a principle in physics, suggests that a thin layer of vapor forms between the feet and the hot coals, providing a brief insulating barrier that prevents burns. However, this does not diminish the spiritual significance of the ritual, as the mental and emotional strength required remains immense. The cultural and spiritual importance of fire walking extends beyond the individual. It is a communal event that strengthens bonds within the community, as families and friends gather to support the participants. The ritual also serves as a powerful reminder of the human capacity for resilience and the transformative power of faith. It challenges our understanding of the limits of the body and mind, inviting us to consider the deeper connections between the physical and spiritual realms. As we marvel at the courage and devotion displayed in the fire-walking ritual, we are reminded of the extraordinary lengths to which humans will go in pursuit of spiritual fulfillment. This exploration of faith and endurance sets the stage for our next journey, where we will delve into another culture's rituals that push the boundaries of physical and mental strength. Now turning to the vast plains of North America, we encounter the sun dance, a deeply spiritual and physically demanding ritual practiced by the Plains Indians. This ceremony, often lasting several days, is a profound expression of faith, endurance, and communal unity. At its core, the sun dance is a ritual of sacrifice and renewal, where participants push their bodies to the limit to honor the Creator, seek visions, and ensure the well-being of their people. The sun dance typically takes place during the summer months when the sun is at its peak. Participants, often men, prepare for the ritual through fasting, prayer, and purification. The ceremony begins with the construction of a sacred lodge, often referred to as the Sun Dance Lodge, made from a central pole surrounded by a circular structure of wooden beams. This lodge symbolizes the connection between the earth and the heavens, serving as a focal point for the rituals that follow. One of the most striking aspects of the sun dance is the act of self-sacrifice. Participants may pierce their skin with wooden skewers or thongs, which are then tied to the central pole. As they dance around the pole, they pull against these attachments, enduring intense pain as a form of offering to the Creator. This act of sacrifice is not merely physical but deeply spiritual, representing a surrender of the self for the greater good of the community. The pain endured is believed to cleanse the spirit, bring visions, and ensure the renewal of life and nature. Historically, the sun dance was a vital part of Plains Indian culture, serving as a means of spiritual renewal and community bonding. It was a time for tribes to come together, share stories, and strengthen their collective identity. However, during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, colonial authorities sought to suppress the sun dance, viewing it as a threat to their efforts to assimilate indigenous peoples. The ritual was banned, and those who practiced it faced severe consequences. Despite this, many Plains Indians continued to perform the sun dance in secret, preserving their traditions against overwhelming odds. In recent decades, the sun dance has experienced a revival as indigenous communities reclaim their cultural heritage and assert their spiritual autonomy. Today, the ritual is celebrated openly, with participants from various tribes coming together to honor their ancestors and renew their connection to the land and the Creator. The modern sun dance is not only a spiritual practice but also a powerful statement of cultural resilience and identity. It serves as a reminder of the enduring strength of indigenous traditions and their ability to adapt and thrive in the face of adversity. As we reflect on the sun dance, we are reminded of the profound ways in which rituals can unite communities, renew spirits, and affirm cultural identity. This exploration of endurance and sacrifice sets the stage for our next journey, where we will delve into another culture's use of dance as a means of spiritual expression and transcendence. Now turning to the mystical traditions of Sufi Islam, we encounter the mesmerizing ritual of the Whirling Dervishes, a practice that transcends mere movement to become a profound act of devotion and meditation. This ritual, known as the Sema, is a spiritual dance performed by members of the Mevlevi order, founded by the 13th century Persian poet and mystic Rumi. The Whirling Dervishes spin in a precise, rhythmic motion, their long white robes flowing outward like the petals of a flower, creating a visual representation of cosmic harmony and divine connection. At the heart of the Sema is the concept of Tawhid, or the oneness of God. The dervishes' whirling symbolizes the planets orbiting the sun, the electrons spinning around the nucleus, and the soul's journey toward union with the divine. Each movement is deliberate and meditative, with the right hand turned upward to receive blessings from heaven, and the left hand turned downward to channel those blessings to the earth. This dance is not just a physical act but a spiritual journey, a way to transcend the material world and achieve a state of ecstatic union with the divine. The Sema begins with a recitation of verses from the Quran and a musical performance featuring the ney, a reed flute that symbolizes the soul's longing for God. As the music builds, the dervishes begin to whirl, their movements growing faster and more fluid. The dance is divided into 4 sections, each representing a stage of spiritual ascent: the recognition of divine unity, the awakening of love, the transformation of the self, and the ultimate return to the source of all creation. Through this ritual, the dervishes seek to dissolve their ego and merge with the infinite. Sufi poets and scholars have long celebrated the transformative power of the Sema. Rumi himself described the dance as a way to turn toward the truth, grow away from your ego, and become one with the beloved. Another Sufi mystic, Ibn Arabi, wrote, "The whirling of the dervishes is a mirror of the celestial spheres, a reflection of the divine order that governs the universe." These words capture the essence of the Sema as a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms, a ritual that allows participants to experience the divine in a deeply personal and transformative way. The Whirling Dervishes remind us that rituals can be a powerful means of transcendence, offering a path to spiritual awakening and inner peace. As we reflect on this mesmerizing dance, we are invited to consider how movement, music, and meditation can bring us closer to the divine. This exploration of spiritual transcendence sets the stage for our next journey, where we will delve into another culture's use of rituals to connect with the sacred and explore the mysteries of existence. Now turning to the haunting rituals of the Fore people of Papua New Guinea, we encounter one of the most chilling practices in human history: endocannibalism. This ritual, deeply embedded in their funeral rites, involved consuming the flesh of deceased relatives as an act of mourning and reverence. For the Fore, this practice was not an act of savagery but a profound expression of love and respect. They believed that by consuming the body of the deceased, they could absorb their strength, wisdom, and spirit, ensuring that the essence of their loved ones lived on within the community. The Fore people's endocannibalism was rooted in their spiritual worldview, which emphasized the interconnectedness of life and death. They saw death not as an end but as a transition, a way for the deceased to become part of the living. Women and children were primarily responsible for preparing and consuming the body, often consuming the brain, which was considered the seat of the soul. This act was seen as a way to honor the dead and maintain their presence within the tribe. However, this ritual had devastating consequences that would echo through generations. In the mid-20th century, a mysterious and fatal disease began to spread among the Fore people. Known as Kuru, or the laughing sickness, it caused tremors, loss of coordination, and eventually death. Scientists later discovered that Kuru was caused by prions, infectious proteins found in the brain tissue of the deceased. When the Fore consumed the brains of their loved ones, they unknowingly ingested these prions, leading to the rapid spread of the disease. By the 1960s, Kuru had claimed the lives of thousands, decimating entire villages and leaving a lasting scar on the Fore community. The tragedy of Kuru sparked intense ethical and scientific debates. On one hand, the Fore's practice of endocannibalism was a deeply spiritual act rooted in centuries of tradition. On the other hand, it raised questions about the dangers of cultural practices that conflict with modern medical knowledge. Scientists studying Kuru made groundbreaking discoveries about prion diseases, which have since helped us understand conditions like mad cow disease and Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Yet, these advancements came at a great cost to the Fore people, who were forced to abandon a ritual that had defined their relationship with death for generations. The story of the Fore people reminds us of the complex interplay between culture, spirituality, and science. It challenges us to consider how ancient rituals, no matter how deeply meaningful, can sometimes clash with the realities of the modern world. As we reflect on this tragic chapter in human history, we are left to ponder the delicate balance between honoring tradition and safeguarding health. This exploration of rituals involving the dead sets the stage for our next journey, where we will delve into the sky burials of Tibet, a practice that offers a starkly different perspective on death and the afterlife. Now turning to the sky burials of Tibet, we encounter a ritual that stands in stark contrast to the practices of the Fore people. In this ancient tradition, the bodies of the deceased are taken to remote mountaintops and left exposed to the elements where they are consumed by vultures. For Tibetans, this practice is not an act of neglect but a profound expression of Buddhist beliefs about impermanence and the cycle of life. The ritual, known as jeta, or giving alms to the birds, reflects the idea that the body is merely a vessel for the soul, and its return to nature is a final act of generosity. At the heart of sky burials lies the Buddhist concept of impermanence, the understanding that all things are transient and subject to change. Tibetans believe that clinging to the physical body after death hinders the soul's journey to the next life. By offering the body to the vultures, they release the soul from its earthly ties, allowing it to move freely through the cycle of rebirth. This act of giving is also seen as a final act of compassion, as it provides sustenance to the birds, which are considered sacred in Tibetan culture. Monks often perform rituals and prayers at the burial site, guiding the soul toward a peaceful transition. The harsh environment of the Himalayas also plays a significant role in shaping this practice. The rocky, frozen terrain makes traditional burial or cremation difficult, if not impossible. Sky burials offer a practical solution, ensuring that the body is returned to the earth in a way that aligns with both spiritual beliefs and environmental realities. The vultures, often referred to as sky gravediggers, play a crucial role in this process, swiftly consuming the body and leaving little trace behind. This efficiency is seen as a natural and harmonious way to handle death in a region where resources are scarce. Tibetan monks emphasize the spiritual significance of sky burials, describing them as a reminder of the impermanence of life and the importance of letting go. One monk explained, "When we see the body being consumed by the vultures, we are reminded that life is fleeting and our attachments to the physical world are ultimately meaningless." This practice teaches us to focus on the soul's journey rather than the body's fate. Such insights highlight the deep philosophical underpinnings of the ritual, which continues to be practiced in remote regions of Tibet despite modern challenges. As we reflect on the sky burials of Tibet, we are reminded of the diverse ways in which cultures confront death and the afterlife. This practice, rooted in both spirituality and practicality, offers a unique perspective on the relationship between humanity and nature. It sets the stage for our next exploration, where we will uncover the Viking funeral pyres, a ritual that celebrates the lives of warriors with fire and grandeur. Now turning to the Viking funeral pyres, we step into a world where death was not an end but a passage to glory. Picture this, a massive wooden ship, adorned with intricate carvings and filled with the belongings of the deceased, set ablaze on the water. The flames rise high into the night sky, casting an eerie glow over the gathered mourners. This was no ordinary funeral. It was a grand send-off, a ritual designed to honor the dead and ensure their place in the afterlife. For the Vikings, death was a transition, and the funeral pyre was the bridge between this world and the next. At the heart of this ritual lay the Norse belief in Valhalla, the great hall of the god Odin, where warriors who died bravely in battle were said to feast and fight until the end of days. To reach Valhalla, a warrior's death had to be honorable, and their funeral had to reflect their status and achievements. The burning ship was more than a vessel. It was a symbol of the journey to the afterlife, carrying the deceased to their eternal reward. The flames consumed the body, releasing the soul to ascend to the heavens, while the smoke carried prayers and offerings to the gods. Historical accounts paint a vivid picture of these elaborate ceremonies. One of the most famous descriptions comes from the Arab traveler Ahmad ibn Fadlan, who witnessed a Viking chieftain's funeral in the 10th century. He described how the chieftain's body was placed in a ship alongside his weapons, treasures, and even his loyal slaves, who volunteered to accompany him to the afterlife. The ship was then set on fire, and as the flames engulfed it, the mourners chanted and shouted, celebrating the chieftain's life and deeds. This ritual was not just about honoring the dead. It was a public display of the community's values, emphasizing bravery, loyalty, and the importance of a warrior's legacy. The Viking funeral pyre also reflected the broader cultural values of honor and bravery. In a society where reputation was everything, a grand funeral was a way to ensure that the deceased's name would be remembered and respected. The inclusion of personal possessions and slaves in the pyre underscored the belief that these items would be needed in the afterlife, reinforcing the idea that death was not an end but a continuation of one's journey. The ritual also served as a reminder to the living of the virtues they should aspire to: courage in battle, loyalty to one's leader, and a willingness to face death with dignity. As we reflect on the Viking funeral pyres, we see a ritual that celebrates life as much as it honors death. The grandeur of the ceremony, the symbolism of the burning ship, and the communal participation all point to a culture that valued both the individual and the collective. This practice sets the stage for our next exploration, where we will delve into the ritual suicide of the samurai, a practice rooted in honor and sacrifice, and discover how different cultures have used rituals to confront the mysteries of life and death. Now turning to the ritual suicide of the samurai, we enter a world where honor was valued above life itself. Seppuku, also known as harakiri, was a form of ritual suicide performed by samurai to restore their honor or atone for failure. This act was not one of despair but of profound dignity, deeply rooted in the cultural and philosophical principles of the Bushido Code, the way of the warrior. For the samurai, life was a constant pursuit of loyalty, courage, and moral integrity, and seppuku was the ultimate expression of these values. The Bushido Code emphasized virtues such as loyalty to one's lord, self-discipline, and an unwavering sense of duty. To fail in these duties was to bring shame not only upon oneself but also upon one's family and clan. In such cases, seppuku was seen as the only way to cleanse this dishonor. The ritual itself was highly formalized, often performed in front of witnesses. The samurai would kneel on a white cloth, symbolizing purity, and use a short sword to make a deep, deliberate cut across the abdomen. This act was believed to release the samurai's spirit, allowing them to die with honor and integrity intact. One of the most famous examples of seppuku is the story of the 47 Ronin, a tale that has become legendary in Japanese culture. In the early 18th century, a group of samurai avenged the death of their lord, who had been forced to commit seppuku after being provoked into drawing his sword in the shogun's palace. After successfully carrying out their revenge, the 47 Ronin turned themselves in and were ordered to commit seppuku. Their actions were seen as the ultimate expression of loyalty and honor, and their story continues to be celebrated in Japan to this day. The psychological and societal pressures that led to seppuku were immense. In a society where honor was paramount, the fear of disgrace could be overwhelming. For samurai, the prospect of living with dishonor was often worse than death. This mindset was reinforced by the rigid social hierarchy of feudal Japan, where one's actions had far-reaching consequences for their family and community. Seppuku was not just a personal act but a way to protect the reputation of those connected to the samurai. As we reflect on the practice of seppuku, we see a ritual that embodies the extremes of human devotion to principle and duty. It challenges us to consider the lengths to which individuals will go to uphold their values and the societal structures that shape such decisions. This exploration of honor and sacrifice sets the stage for our next section, where we will delve into the human sacrifices of the Carthaginians, a practice driven by religious and political motivations, and uncover how different cultures have used rituals to navigate the complexities of life, death, and the divine. Now turning to the human sacrifices of the Carthaginians, we uncover a practice that has sparked both fascination and horror for centuries. At the heart of this ritual was the Tophet, a sacred site in the ancient city of Carthage, where children were offered to the gods in acts of devotion and desperation. The Tophet, a sprawling burial ground filled with urns containing the charred remains of infants and young children, stands as a chilling testament to the lengths to which the Carthaginians would go to secure divine favor. The motivations behind these sacrifices were deeply rooted in both religion and politics. The Carthaginians believed that their gods, particularly Baal Hammon and Tanit, demanded such offerings to ensure prosperity, protection, and victory in times of crisis. In a society heavily reliant on agriculture and maritime trade, the favor of the gods was seen as essential for survival. Sacrificing children, often the firstborn sons of noble families, was considered the ultimate act of piety and loyalty. It was believed that these offerings would appease the gods and secure their blessings for the entire community. Archaeological evidence from the Tophet provides a grim glimpse into this practice. Excavations have uncovered thousands of urns containing the remains of children, many of whom were infants. Inscriptions found at the site often include dedications to Baal Hammon and Tanit, further emphasizing the religious nature of these sacrifices. Historical accounts from ancient writers, such as the Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, describe elaborate ceremonies where children were placed on the outstretched arms of a bronze statue of Baal Hammon, only to fall into a fiery pit below. These descriptions, though often sensationalized, align with the archaeological findings and paint a vivid picture of the rituals that took place. However, the extent and nature of these sacrifices remain a subject of intense debate among modern scholars. Some argue that the Carthaginians practiced child sacrifice on a large scale, pointing to the sheer number of remains found at the Tophet. Others suggest that many of these burials may have been the result of high infant mortality rates, with the children being consecrated to the gods after their natural deaths. This controversy highlights the challenges of interpreting ancient practices through a modern lens, as well as the emotional weight that such rituals carry even today. As we reflect on the human sacrifices of the Carthaginians, we are reminded of the profound ways in which ancient cultures sought to navigate their relationship with the divine. This exploration of sacrifice and devotion sets the stage for our next section, where we will delve into the ritual feasts of the Celts, a practice that celebrated life and community in stark contrast to the somber rituals of Carthage. Now turning to the ritual feasts of the Celts, we step into a world of vibrant celebration and communal bonding. These feasts, held during significant religious festivals like Samhain, were not just about food and drink, but were deeply rooted in the spiritual and social fabric of Celtic society. Samhain, marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, was a time when the veil between the living and the dead was believed to be at its thinnest. The Celts saw this as an opportunity to honor their ancestors, appease the gods, and strengthen the bonds within their communities. The feasts were lavish affairs, often lasting for days, and were characterized by an abundance of food, drink, and entertainment. Tables would groan under the weight of roasted meats, freshly baked bread, and seasonal fruits and vegetables. Mead, a fermented honey drink, flowed freely and was often shared in communal drinking horns, symbolizing unity and fellowship. Music and storytelling played a central role, with bards recounting tales of heroic deeds and mythical adventures, keeping the oral traditions of the Celts alive. These gatherings were not just about indulgence but were seen as acts of devotion, with offerings made to the gods to ensure their favor and protection in the coming year. The cultural significance of these feasts cannot be overstated. They were a time for the community to come together, to share in the bounty of the harvest, and to reaffirm their collective identity. The act of sharing food and drink was a powerful symbol of solidarity, reinforcing the social bonds that held the community together. These feasts also served as a reminder of the cyclical nature of life, with the changing seasons and the rhythms of the natural world playing a central role in Celtic spirituality. Interestingly, many elements of these ancient Celtic feasts have found their way into modern celebrations, particularly Halloween. The tradition of dressing up in costumes, for example, can be traced back to the Celtic practice of wearing disguises to confuse and ward off malevolent spirits during Samhain. The custom of carving pumpkins, or originally turnips, into lanterns, known as jack-o'-lanterns, also has its roots in Celtic folklore. Even the concept of trick-or-treating can be linked to the Celtic practice of leaving offerings of food and drink for the spirits of the dead. As we explore the ritual feasts of the Celts, we are reminded of the enduring power of communal celebration. These gatherings, steeped in tradition and meaning, highlight the importance of coming together to honor the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future. This exploration of communal rituals sets the stage for our next section, where we will delve into the ritual bathing of the Ganges, a practice that continues to draw millions of devotees in search of spiritual purification and renewal. Now turning to the ritual bathing of the Ganges, we enter a world of profound spiritual devotion and ancient tradition. Every 12 years, millions of Hindus gather along the banks of the sacred Ganges River for the Kumbh Mela, one of the largest religious gatherings on earth. This festival, rooted in Hindu mythology, is a time of immense spiritual significance where pilgrims from all walks of life come to bathe in the holy waters, believing it will cleanse them of their sins and grant them liberation from the cycle of rebirth. The Ganges, or Ganga as it is reverently called, is not just a river but a goddess, a divine entity whose waters are believed to possess the power to purify both body and soul. The atmosphere during the Kumbh Mela is nothing short of awe-inspiring. Imagine a sea of humanity stretching as far as the eye can see, all united in their quest for spiritual renewal. Pilgrims chant sacred mantras, offer prayers, and immerse themselves in the river at the precise moment deemed most auspicious by astrologers. For many, this act of bathing is the culmination of a lifelong dream, a moment of profound connection with the divine. One pilgrim, a farmer from a remote village, shared, "I have traveled for days to be here. When I entered the water, I felt a sense of peace I have never known before. It was as if all my burdens were washed away." The spiritual significance of the Ganges is deeply intertwined with Hindu cosmology. According to legend, the river descended from heaven to earth, carried by the god Shiva to purify the ashes of ancestors and grant them salvation. This belief in the river's purifying power has endured for millennia, making it a central pillar of Hindu spirituality. Yet, the Ganges is not just a symbol of purity. It is also a lifeline for millions, providing water for drinking, farming, and daily life. This dual role as both a sacred and practical resource underscores its importance in Indian culture. However, the Ganges faces significant environmental challenges. Rapid industrialization, urbanization, and pollution have taken a toll on the river's health. Despite its spiritual significance, the Ganges is one of the most polluted rivers in the world, with untreated sewage, industrial waste, and plastic debris contaminating its waters. Efforts to clean and preserve the river have been ongoing for decades, with initiatives like the Namami Gange project aiming to restore its sanctity. Yet the task is monumental, requiring not just government action but a collective shift in how the river is perceived and treated. As one environmental activist noted, the Ganges is not just a river, it is a living entity. To harm it is to harm ourselves. As we reflect on the ritual bathing of the Ganges, we are reminded of the delicate balance between the sacred and the practical, the spiritual and the environmental. This exploration of water as a source of purification and life sets the stage for our next section, where we will delve into the water rituals of the Maya, another ancient culture that revered water as a bridge between the earthly and the divine. Now turning to the water rituals of the Maya, we step into a world where nature and spirituality were deeply intertwined. The Maya civilization, which flourished in Mesoamerica, held water in the highest regard, seeing it as both a life-giving force and a sacred medium for connecting with the divine. Central to their water rituals were the cenotes, natural sinkholes formed by the collapse of limestone bedrock, revealing groundwater beneath. These cenotes were not just sources of water but also portals to the underworld, known as Xibalba, where the gods resided. For the Maya, these mystical pools were the perfect setting for offerings to Chok, the rain god, whose favor was essential for agricultural success. The Maya believed that Chok controlled the rains, which were vital for their crops, particularly maize, the staple of their diet. To appease him and ensure bountiful harvests, they performed elaborate rituals at the cenotes. These ceremonies often involved offerings of precious objects such as jade, gold, and pottery, as well as more somber sacrifices, including human lives. Archaeologists have uncovered numerous artifacts and human remains in cenotes, providing a glimpse into the scale and significance of these rituals. One of the most famous cenotes, the sacred cenote at Chichen Itza, has yielded treasures like golden figurines, ceremonial knives, and the bones of young men and women believed to have been chosen as offerings to the gods. The choice of cenotes as ritual sites reflects the Mayas' profound connection to nature. They saw water not just as a physical necessity, but as a spiritual force, a bridge between the earthly realm and the divine. The cenotes, with their dark, mysterious depths, symbolized the unknown and the sacred, making them ideal places for communion with the gods. This reverence for water extended beyond cenotes to rivers, lakes, and even the rain itself, all of which were seen as manifestations of Chok's power. The Mayas' agricultural calendar was closely tied to the cycles of rain and drought, and their rituals were designed to maintain harmony with these natural forces. The Mayas' water rituals also highlight their sophisticated understanding of their environment. They built intricate systems to collect and store rainwater, ensuring their survival in a region prone to droughts. Yet their relationship with water was not just practical, it was deeply spiritual. Every drop of rain, every pool of water was a reminder of the gods' presence and their role in sustaining life. This blend of practicality and spirituality is a testament to the Mayas' ability to find meaning and purpose in the natural world. As we reflect on the Mayas' water rituals, we are reminded of the universal human desire to connect with the forces that shape our lives. This exploration of water as a sacred element sets the stage for our next section, where we will uncover how another ancient culture used water in their spiritual practices, revealing yet another layer of humanity's enduring relationship with the divine. Now turning to the ritual tattooing of Polynesian cultures, we enter a world where art, pain, and spirituality converge in a deeply meaningful practice. For the Polynesians, tattooing was far more than a decorative art. It was a sacred ritual that carried profound cultural and spiritual significance. The process itself was both intricate and excruciating, involving the use of handmade tools such as bone or shell combs to puncture the skin and deposit ink made from natural pigments. This method, known as tattoo, was not just a physical ordeal but a spiritual journey, marking the individual's passage into adulthood, their social status, and their connection to their ancestors. In Polynesian societies, tattoos served as a visual language, telling the story of a person's lineage, achievements, and role within the community. Each design was unique, carefully chosen to reflect the individual's identity and spiritual protection. For example, warriors often bore tattoos that symbolized strength and courage, while chiefs and leaders displayed intricate patterns that signified their authority and divine favor. The placement of the tattoos also held meaning, with certain designs reserved for specific parts of the body, such as the arms, legs, or face. These markings were not just personal adornments but a form of cultural heritage passed down through generations. Polynesian elders have shared that the symbolism behind traditional tattoo designs is deeply rooted in their cosmology and beliefs. Patterns inspired by nature, such as waves, sharks, and turtles, were believed to imbue the wearer with the qualities of these powerful creatures. Other designs, like geometric shapes and spirals, represented the interconnectedness of life and the eternal cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The act of receiving a tattoo was seen as a rite of passage, a way to honor one's ancestors and seek their guidance and protection. It was also a test of endurance, as the pain endured during the process was considered a measure of one's strength and commitment to their community. In modern times, there has been a remarkable revival of traditional Polynesian tattooing, as people seek to reconnect with their cultural roots and reclaim their heritage. This resurgence is not just about preserving ancient practices, but also about embracing the deeper meanings behind them. For many, getting a traditional tattoo is a way to honor their ancestors, express their identity, and find spiritual grounding in a rapidly changing world. The revival has also sparked a broader interest in Polynesian culture, inspiring artists and scholars to explore the rich symbolism and history behind these timeless designs. As we reflect on the ritual tattooing of Polynesian cultures, we see how these practices serve as a powerful form of personal transformation. They remind us that rituals are not just about tradition, but about shaping who we are and how we relate to the world around us. This exploration of tattooing as a sacred art sets the stage for our next section, where we will uncover another culture's use of body modification in their spiritual practices, revealing yet another layer of humanity's quest for meaning and identity. Now turning to the ritual scarification of African tribes, we delve into a practice where the body becomes a canvas for cultural expression and spiritual significance. Scarification, the deliberate cutting of intricate patterns into the skin, is a deeply rooted tradition in many African societies. Unlike tattoos, which use ink to create designs, scarification relies on the body's natural healing process to form raised scars that tell a story. This practice is not merely decorative, it is a rite of passage, a marker of identity, and a testament to one's endurance and commitment to their community. In many African cultures, scarification serves as a visual language, conveying information about an individual's tribe, social status, and personal achievements. For example, among the Dinka people of South Sudan, scars are often given to young men as part of their initiation into adulthood. These marks symbolize bravery and resilience, as the process is both painful and lengthy. Similarly, in the Karo tribe of Ethiopia, women receive intricate scar patterns on their chests and abdomens to signify beauty, fertility, and readiness for marriage. Each design is unique, carrying specific meanings that are understood within the community. The spiritual significance of scarification is equally profound. In some tribes, the scars are believed to connect the individual to their ancestors, serving as a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. The pain endured during the process is seen as a form of sacrifice, demonstrating one's devotion and strength. For instance, among the Yoruba people of Nigeria, scarification is often performed during religious ceremonies, with the scars acting as a form of spiritual protection. The patterns are thought to ward off evil spirits and bring blessings from the gods. The physical and emotional challenges of scarification cannot be overstated. The process involves using sharp tools such as knives or thorns to cut the skin, followed by the application of natural substances like ash or plant sap to promote scarring. The pain is intense and the risk of infection is high, making it a true test of endurance. Yet, for those who undergo the ritual, the scars are a source of pride and a permanent reminder of their cultural heritage. One individual from the Sumat tribe of Ethiopia shared that their scars are a symbol of their identity, a way to carry their ancestors with them wherever they go. As we reflect on the ritual scarification of African tribes, we see how these practices embody the intersection of pain, identity, and spirituality. They remind us that rituals are not just about tradition, but about shaping who we are and how we connect to our roots. This exploration of scarification sets the stage for our next section, where we will uncover another culture's use of pain and endurance in their spiritual practices, revealing yet another layer of humanity's quest for meaning and resilience. Now turning to the ritual piercing of Taipusam, we step into a world where devotion takes on a strikingly visceral form. Taipusam, a Hindu festival celebrated primarily by the Tamil community, is a spectacle of faith, endurance, and spiritual surrender. At the heart of this festival lies a practice that leaves many in awe. Devotees pierce their bodies with hooks, skewers, and even small spears, carrying elaborate structures called kavadis as they embark on a pilgrimage to honor Lord Murugan, the god of war and victory. The sight of these devotees, their bodies adorned with metal and their faces radiating determination, is both mesmerizing and humbling. The spiritual significance of this ritual is profound. For devotees, the act of piercing is not merely a physical ordeal but a deeply symbolic gesture of penance and gratitude. Many undertake this practice to fulfill vows made to Lord Murugan, often in times of personal crisis or desperation. By enduring the pain, they demonstrate their unwavering devotion and seek to purify their souls. The kavadis they carry, often decorated with peacock feathers and flowers, represent the burdens of life, and the act of bearing them is seen as a way to transcend earthly struggles and connect with the divine. One devotee shared that the pain of piercing is a reminder of the suffering they have endured and a way to offer it up to the gods in exchange for blessings and guidance. The preparation for Taipusam is as rigorous as the ritual itself. Devotees often undergo weeks of fasting, prayer, and meditation to prepare their minds and bodies for the ordeal. On the day of the festival, they enter a trance-like state, aided by rhythmic drumming and chanting, which helps them transcend the physical pain. The piercing is performed by skilled practitioners who use sterilized tools, but the process is still excruciating. Hooks are inserted into the skin of the back, cheeks, or tongue, and skewers are used to pierce other parts of the body. Despite the intensity of the pain, many participants describe feeling a sense of euphoria and spiritual clarity during the ritual, as if the physical suffering has unlocked a deeper connection to the divine. The psychological and emotional aspects of this practice are equally compelling. For many, the ritual is a transformative experience, a way to confront their fears and limitations and emerge stronger. The pain becomes a metaphor for life's challenges, and enduring it is seen as a testament to one's resilience and faith. One participant explained that the ritual taught them the power of surrender, showing them that true strength lies in letting go of control and trusting in a higher power. As we reflect on the ritual piercing of Taipusam, we are reminded of the extraordinary lengths to which humans will go in their quest for spiritual fulfillment. This practice, like the scarification of African tribes, reveals the profound connection between pain, devotion, and identity. It sets the stage for our next exploration, where we will uncover yet another culture's use of pain in spiritual practices, further illuminating the universal human desire to transcend suffering and find meaning in the sacred. Now turning to the ritual flagellation of the Shia Muslims, we enter a deeply emotional and symbolic practice that unfolds during Ashura, a day of mourning commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. This ritual, observed primarily by Shia communities around the world, is a powerful expression of grief, solidarity, and devotion. During Ashura, participants gather in processions, often dressed in black, to mourn the tragic events of the Battle of Karbala, where Imam Hussein and his followers were martyred in the 7th century. At the heart of these processions lies the act of self-flagellation, where devotees strike their chests or backs with chains, blades, or their hands, drawing blood as a sign of their sorrow and connection to Imam Hussein's suffering. The religious and emotional significance of this ritual is profound. For Shia Muslims, Ashura is not just a historical event but a living memory that embodies themes of sacrifice, justice, and resistance against oppression. The act of self-flagellation is seen as a way to physically and emotionally share in the pain of Imam Hussein and his family, creating a visceral bond between the mourners and the martyrs. Many participants describe the ritual as a cathartic experience, a way to externalize their grief and honor the sacrifices made by Imam Hussein for the sake of their faith. One practitioner explained that the pain they endure during Ashura is a small price to pay compared to the suffering of Imam Hussein, and it serves as a reminder of the values he stood for: truth, justice, and unwavering faith. Scholars and practitioners offer varied perspectives on the meaning and impact of this ritual. Some view it as a deeply spiritual act that strengthens communal bonds and reinforces the collective identity of the Shia community. Others see it as a form of emotional release, a way to process personal and collective grief in a tangible and symbolic manner. However, the practice has also sparked significant controversy and debate. Critics argue that self-flagellation can be harmful, both physically and psychologically, and question whether such extreme expressions of mourning align with the teachings of Islam. In response, some Shia communities have adopted alternative practices, such as blood donation or charitable acts, to honor Imam Hussein's legacy in ways that emphasize compassion and service. The debates surrounding self-flagellation highlight the complex interplay between tradition, faith, and modernity. While some see the ritual as an essential expression of devotion, others advocate for reinterpretation and adaptation to contemporary values. This tension reflects broader questions about how rituals evolve over time and how communities balance reverence for tradition with the need for change. As we reflect on the ritual flagellation of Ashura, we are reminded of the powerful role rituals play in expressing and processing human emotions. This practice, like the piercing of Taipusam, reveals the deep connection between physical pain and spiritual devotion, offering a window into the ways humans seek to transcend suffering and find meaning in the sacred. Moving forward, we will explore another culture's use of sound and music in spiritual practices, further illuminating the diverse ways humans connect with the divine and with one another. Now turning to the ritual drumming of the Yoruba people, we step into a world where rhythm and spirituality intertwine in profound ways. Among the Yoruba of West Africa, drumming is far more than music. It is a sacred language, a bridge between the human and the divine. During ceremonies dedicated to the Orishas, the deities of the Yoruba pantheon, the beat of the drums becomes a powerful tool for communication, healing, and community bonding. The drummers, often trained from a young age, are not just musicians but spiritual intermediaries, their rhythms calling the Orishas to join the gathering and guide the people. The cultural and spiritual importance of these drumming rituals cannot be overstated. Each drumbeat carries meaning, echoing the stories, prayers, and praises of the Yoruba people. The drums themselves are considered sacred, often consecrated with offerings and blessings before use. The lead drum, known as the Iya Ilu, is particularly revered, its deep, resonant tones believed to carry the voices of the Orishas. Through these rhythms, the community connects with their ancestors, seeks guidance, and celebrates the cycles of life from birth to death and beyond. Yoruba priests emphasize the symbolism and techniques behind the drumming. The rhythms are not random but carefully structured, each pattern corresponding to a specific Orisha or ritual purpose. For example, the fast, intricate beats of the Bata drums are used to honor Shango, the god of thunder, while the slower, more deliberate rhythms of the Dundun drums invoke Obatala, the creator deity. The drummers must master not only the physical skill of playing but also the spiritual discipline of channeling the Orisha's energy. As one priest explained, when we drum, we are not just making music. We are speaking to the gods and they speak back through us. The influence of Yoruba drumming extends far beyond its cultural origins. The rhythms and techniques have traveled across the Atlantic, shaping the music and rituals of the African diaspora. In Brazil, Cuba, and Haiti, Yoruba drumming became the heartbeat of Afro-Caribbean religions like Candomblé, Santeria, and Vodou. Even in modern genres like jazz, salsa, and hip-hop, the echoes of Yoruba drumming can be heard, a testament to its enduring power and adaptability. As we reflect on the ritual drumming of the Yoruba people, we see how sound and rhythm can transcend boundaries, uniting communities and connecting them to the divine. This practice, like the chanting of Tibetan monks, reveals the universal human desire to use sound as a tool for spiritual expression and transformation. Moving forward, we will explore another culture's use of sound and music in spiritual practices, further illuminating the diverse ways humans seek harmony with the sacred. Now turning to the ritual chanting of Tibetan monks, we enter a realm where sound becomes a profound tool for spiritual connection and inner transformation. In the high-altitude monasteries of Tibet, the deep, resonant chants of monks fill the air, creating an atmosphere of reverence and tranquility. These chants, often performed during elaborate religious ceremonies, are not mere songs but sacred vibrations believed to carry the power of enlightenment and divine blessings. The spiritual significance of Tibetan chanting lies in its ability to harmonize the mind, body, and spirit. Each chant or mantra is carefully chosen for its specific purpose, whether to invoke a particular deity, purify negative energies, or cultivate compassion. One of the most well-known mantras, Om Mani Padme Hum, is recited millions of times by monks and laypeople alike. This mantra, dedicated to the Bodhisattva of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, is said to encapsulate the essence of Buddhist teachings. As one monk explained, when we chant, we are not just speaking words, we are aligning ourselves with the vibrations of the universe, opening our hearts to wisdom and compassion. The chanting process itself is deeply meditative. Monks often sit in long rows, their voices blending in unison to create a powerful, resonant sound. The rhythm and pitch of the chants are meticulously controlled, with each syllable pronounced with precision. This discipline requires years of training, as the monks must not only memorize the mantras but also understand their meanings and spiritual implications. The act of chanting becomes a form of meditation, helping the monks focus their minds and transcend ordinary consciousness. Beyond its spiritual role, Tibetan chanting has been found to have therapeutic effects on the mind and body. Scientific studies have shown that the vibrations produced during chanting can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and promote a sense of calm. The repetitive nature of the mantras helps quiet the mind, making it easier to enter a meditative state. For the monks, chanting is not just a ritual but a way of life, a daily practice that nurtures their inner peace and spiritual growth. As we reflect on the ritual chanting of Tibetan monks, we see how sound can serve as a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. This practice, much like the drumming of the Yoruba people, reveals the universal human desire to use sound as a means of connecting with the divine. Moving forward, we will explore another culture's use of sound and music in spiritual practices, further uncovering the diverse ways humans seek harmony with the sacred. Now turning to the ritual use of psychedelics in Amazonian shamanism, we step into a world where ancient traditions and altered states of consciousness intertwine. Deep within the Amazon rainforest, shamans conduct Ayahuasca ceremonies, a sacred ritual that has been practiced for centuries. Ayahuasca, a potent brew made from the Banisteriopsis copy vine and other plants, is known for its powerful hallucinogenic effects. These ceremonies are not just about experiencing visions but are deeply rooted in spiritual healing, self-discovery, and communion with the natural and spiritual worlds. The cultural and spiritual significance of Ayahuasca ceremonies is profound. For the indigenous peoples of the Amazon, Ayahuasca is more than a plant. It is a teacher, a healer, and a bridge to the divine. Shamans or curanderos serve as guides, leading participants through intense, often transformative experiences. The ritual begins with the preparation of the brew, a process imbued with prayers and intentions. As participants drink the bitter liquid, they enter a state of heightened awareness where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms blur. The shaman's role is crucial as they use chants called ikaros to navigate the journey, protect participants, and channel healing energies. Participants often describe their experiences as life-changing. Many report confronting deep-seated fears, unresolved traumas, and emotional blockages. The visions induced by Ayahuasca are said to reveal hidden truths about oneself and the universe. One participant shared, "It felt like I was peeling away layers of myself, facing parts of me I had buried for years. By the end, I felt lighter, more connected to who I truly am." For others, the experience fosters a profound sense of unity with nature and the cosmos, reinforcing the interconnectedness of all life. The growing interest in ayahuasca and other psychedelics for therapeutic purposes has brought these ancient rituals into the modern spotlight. Researchers are exploring how these substances can aid in treating mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Studies suggest that the introspective and emotional release facilitated by ayahuasca can lead to lasting psychological benefits. However, this resurgence of interest also raises ethical questions about cultural appropriation and the commercialization of sacred practices. As we reflect on the ritual use of psychedelics in Amazonian shamanism, we see how these practices serve as a means of exploring consciousness and healing the human spirit. They remind us of the profound ways in which ancient cultures have sought to understand the mysteries of existence. Moving forward, we will delve into another culture's use of fasting as a spiritual practice, further uncovering the diverse ways humans seek to transcend the ordinary and connect with the sacred. Now turning to the ritual fasting of Ramadan, we explore a practice that transcends mere abstinence from food and drink, embodying a profound spiritual journey for millions of Muslims worldwide. Ramadan, the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, is a time of deep reflection, self-discipline, and communal unity. From dawn to sunset, Muslims fast, refraining not only from eating and drinking, but also from negative behaviors such as gossip, anger, and impatience. This month-long fast is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, a foundational act of worship that strengthens faith and fosters a closer connection to God. The spiritual significance of fasting during Ramadan is multifaceted. At its core, it is an exercise in self-discipline, teaching individuals to control their desires and focus on their spiritual well-being. By abstaining from physical nourishment, Muslims are reminded of their dependence on God and the blessings they often take for granted. Fasting also cultivates empathy, as it allows individuals to experience the hunger and thirst faced by those less fortunate. This heightened awareness often inspires acts of charity and generosity, reinforcing the values of compassion and social responsibility. For many Muslims, Ramadan is a time of intense spiritual growth and renewal. The long days of fasting are accompanied by increased prayer, recitation of the Quran, and acts of worship. Nights are marked by Taraweeh prayers, special congregational prayers held in mosques where the Quran is recited in its entirety over the course of the month. These practices create a sense of inner peace and closeness to God as individuals seek forgiveness, guidance, and blessings. One Muslim shared, "Ramadan is like a spiritual reset. It's a time to cleanse the soul, reflect on my actions, and strive to be a better person. The discipline of fasting helps me focus on what truly matters." The communal aspects of Ramadan are equally significant. Each evening, families and communities come together to break their fast with a meal called iftar. This shared experience fosters a sense of unity and belonging as people gather to nourish their bodies and souls. In many cultures, iftar meals are elaborate feasts featuring traditional dishes and sweets. The act of breaking bread together strengthens bonds and reinforces the importance of community in the Islamic faith. Additionally, many mosques and organizations host free iftar meals for the needy, embodying the spirit of generosity and inclusivity that defines Ramadan. As we reflect on the ritual fasting of Ramadan, we see how it serves as a powerful reminder of the universal human quest for spiritual growth and connection. It highlights the importance of self-discipline, empathy, and community, values that resonate across cultures and traditions. Moving forward, we will explore the final section of our journey, reflecting on the universal themes that unite the diverse rituals of ancient cultures and their enduring impact on humanity. Now turning to the conclusion of our journey through the hidden rituals of ancient cultures, we find ourselves standing at the crossroads of history and humanity. From the blood sacrifices of the Aztecs to the meditative chants of Tibetan monks, we've uncovered a tapestry of practices that reveal the profound ways ancient societies sought to connect with the divine, the natural world, and each other. These rituals, though diverse in form, share a common thread: the universal human desire to find meaning, purpose, and transcendence in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain. Consider the Aztecs, who believed that human sacrifice was necessary to maintain cosmic balance, or the Greeks, who turned to the oracle of Delphi for divine guidance in times of crisis. The Egyptians meticulously preserved their dead for the journey to the afterlife, while the Eleusinian Mysteries offered initiates a glimpse of rebirth and renewal. Native American vision quest sought spiritual clarity through solitude and fasting, and the Sufi Whirling Dervishes used dance to achieve a state of divine ecstasy. Each of these rituals, though rooted in their unique cultural contexts, speaks to a shared human longing to bridge the gap between the mortal and the eternal. What can we learn from these ancient practices about our own lives and beliefs? Perhaps it is the importance of ritual itself, not as a relic of the past, but as a living, breathing force that continues to shape our world. Rituals remind us of our connection to something greater than ourselves, whether it's the cycles of nature, the bonds of community, or the mysteries of the divine. They teach us discipline, empathy, and resilience, offering a framework for navigating life's challenges with grace and purpose. As we reflect on these ancient traditions, let us also consider how they resonate in our modern lives. How do we create meaning in a world that often feels disconnected? What rituals, old or new, help us find balance, healing, and connection? I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What rituals, ancient or contemporary, have touched your life? And if you've enjoyed this exploration of humanity's past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join us on more journeys into the mysteries of history. To close, let us remember the words of anthropologist Joseph Campbell, who once said, "Ritual is the enactment of a myth, and by participating in the ritual, you are participating in the myth." These ancient rituals are more than just stories. They are the heartbeat of human history, a testament to our enduring quest for understanding and connection. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and until next time, keep exploring the wonders of our shared past.